Hello everyone, thank you for checking out my emergency response plan PowerPoint. I wanted to do a video for you, but you can't imagine the struggles I had just recording this narration. So like many of you on the PL journey, I'm just kind of dipping my toes in the water today. This should not be longer than 7 to 8 minutes. So pay attention. I hope this is informative for you. If you have any questions that I don't answer, be sure just to send me an email. That's perfectly fine. And I'll be sure to answer any questions that may be lingering after this PowerPoint. So let's start with fire drills. We are required to have one per week for the first 4 weeks of school. So I like to let teachers know that because they're sometimes questioning, why are we having so many fire drills? We are required to have them. Our first one will be Wednesday, August 30th, around 11 o'clock. We're asking that you review the evacuation route for your classroom in each classroom that you teach, in each block that you teach, including Connect, so that your students know where they are going when they hear the fire drill bell sound. The procedure is for you to take your emergency bag and lead students out of the classroom, and make sure that all of your students know that whoever is the last to leave the classroom should turn off the light and close the door. Sometimes that includes taking the magnet out of the door. So what will you need? Well, each classroom should have an emergency bag in the room, and you're going to start filling that emergency bag. If you don't have your emergency bag, just send me an email and I will fix it. The first thing you should put in the bag is actually the teacher or the staff emergency packet. You should just grab that and put it inside of your bag. That came out a little bit messy, again, dipping my toes in the water. You're also going to want to print your rosters and put them into your bag. You need to print rosters for every class that you teach. And if you're a teacher who teaches in multiple places, you're going to take your rosters and put them into the emergency bag in the classroom where you teach. So for instance, if you are teaching, let's say foreign language, let's say you're teaching a French class in a different classroom, you're going to print off your rosters for your block 3-4B class and take them to that room where you're teaching that French class, so that should an emergency break out at that time, you will have the rosters for those particular students. You also need a pen and a pencil, and you should put that in your bag. You need a clipboard for your bag and accountability forms. There are several accountability forms already included in the teacher emergency packet, but some teachers like to print off a few more. That's always a good idea to have them. I've seen some very fancy teachers. They keep sunglasses, they keep hats in the bag. Some teachers even put a little scarf in the bag in case it's a little bit cold. You can get as fancy as you like with your bag. The important thing is that you have it, that you have the rosters in the classroom in that bag for every class that you teach, including your Connect class and including an Explore class, which will be starting later in the semester. So the procedure is for you to lead your kids out toward the staging area, or where students will be actually standing once they exit the building. Again, your students will know where they're going, and they will also know that whoever is the last should close the door and turn off the lights. You're making sure that your students are walking in a straight line and that students are silent. So when you're going over the evacuation routes with students, make sure that they understand the importance of staying absolutely silent during a fire drill all the way out and the entire time that we are out with them. They should be facing away from the building, and they should remain in silent, straight lines while we conduct our accountability, while we're making sure that we have everyone out of the building. Once you get outside, you're going to pull out your rosters and you're going to begin to take roll, and you're going to fill out your accountability form. We're asking that you stay with your class. You should not leave your class to turn in your accountability forms. We'll have someone coming around to collect them from you. If you do not have a class with you, you should be still staying with students and helping to supervise students and making sure that behavior expectations are in place. Please don't use this time to chat with other teachers who are on planning. This is really, we want to model for students that this is really important and that everyone should remain silent. The main reason that we remain silent is that in the event of a real emergency, we will be getting directions and talking with each other, and there will be very important business going on. And if everyone is talking, we will not be able to hear the important directions that we are being given. So make sure that you're modeling this for students and make sure that you have let them know that they need to be following the procedures very closely. So this is a staff emergency packet. You should have received it in your mail, as I've already said. Make sure that you read it. It's not just about fire drills. It's about many other things as well. Basically, your staff emergency packet includes information on all of these drills that you see listed. The fire drills, which we kind of went over, we are required to have them monthly throughout the year. We'll be having one for each week for the first 4 weeks of school. We also do lockdown drills. We're required to have 4 throughout the year. There's information going over that as well. We have earthquake and tornado drills. That information is reviewed in your staff emergency packet. It's important that you read that through. Although Virginia has fairly stable weather, these things have happened in Virginia, so it's important that you understand what to do in that case. Shelter in place is also reviewed there. Shelter in place is a response to a biological threat. It's highly unlikely, but there is information there to go over. Should something like that happen, it's basically staying in your classroom, shutting the door, shutting any windows. Finally, the emergency packet goes over radios. If you don't have a specific role during an emergency drill, then you should maintain radio silence just so that we have an open channel to communicate with each other and that we're not jumping on each other's communication with use of the radios. Finally, it's communication. During an actual emergency, obviously people will have their cell phones. They want to be tweeting out or texting out to family and friends what's going on with them, which is fine, of course, but just make sure that when you're sending out information that you're very clear that this is the information for you and in your immediate location, and that you don't have information or you are not speaking for the school or for the county. The school obviously and the county will help us with that. We'll make sure that our community is aware of what's going on, but we don't want misinformation to go out and things change so quickly. It's important that you're just giving information for yourself. That's basically the end of this very small tutorial. Make sure that you have your emergency packet with you, that you have an emergency bag in your classroom, that you're aware that our first fire drill is happening on Wednesday, and you know what you're doing with your students. The most important thing is that you're reviewing the evacuation routes with all of your classes on Thursday and Friday, even with your Connect class, so that students will know as they go through their schedule where they're going from each room, from each location to each location. Again, if you have any questions, send me an email. If you find something in the emergency packet that is a concern, feel free to send me an email as well. Thank you for checking this out. I will see you in the halls.